Hi, and welcome back to Reflect Forward. I'm your host, Kerry Siggins, and I'm so glad you are here today. Today is part 3 of my 3-part series on a leader's playbook for a radically evolved future. And I hope you've enjoyed the previous 2 episodes. And today we're going to talk about designing a legacy. How do you craft impact that outlasts you? So, at its heart, legacy isn't about fame or fortune. It's about the realization that your actions can shape the future, touch lives, and leave the world better than you found it. And I know if you're like me, you hope to leave your mark. And so that's why thinking about your legacy is so important. So, as you navigate the complexities of 2025, part of being a visionary leader and creating human connections in a tech filled world, you also have to question your legacy. It's become more urgent than ever. What are you leaving behind? Leaders must transcend the pursuit of short-term wins to design futures that matter. We business leaders, we can change the world for better or for worse. What are you doing? Are you changing it for better or for worse? You need to ask yourself this question. So this final installment challenges you to think beyond quarterly reports and results and KPIs, and instead shift your focus to a broader, more enduring goal. How your leadership today can create the legacy that enriches tomorrow. Well, let's dive into it. Number 1, you've got to rethink success. You've got to move beyond quarterly goals. For so long, success has been driven by metrics, revenue growth, market share, shareholder value. While, of course, all of these are incredibly important, they represent only a part of the story. And in a world grappling with all kinds of issues right now, I believe that success must be redesigned to include how your leadership positively impacts people, communities, and all of the ecosystems you touch. So as you're thinking about this, you need to ask yourself questions like, what will my company stand for when I'm no longer in the room? And how will my business contribute to a better world, not just a better balance sheet? Leaders who rise to this challenge will build organizations who not only thrive in today, but for decades to come. Stone Age is 45 years old, and my goal is that it goes on for another 45 years and another 45 years, built upon the legacy that I'm leaving behind around how we treat people, how we innovate for our customers, how we solve tough challenges, how we lean into the volatility of the world today. That's what legacy is about. So really think about what success means to you. Is it really just about the metrics that you're leaving behind, growth, profitability? Or is it the way that you make people feel? Is it the impact that you're having on your customers and your stakeholders in your industries and in your communities? That's what success is truly about. Number 2, the art of regenerative leadership. To build a lasting legacy, leaders must shift from extractive to regenerative practices. So what do I mean by that? That means about designing systems that replenish rather than deplete resources, whether it's human, environmental, or financial. We need to be thinking about how we're putting back in, not just how we're taking out. So, what are the principles of regenerative leadership? Well, my favorite thing, people first. You've got to invest in the growth, well-being, and empowerment of your team. The people you nurture today will carry you forward. I know that to be true. I look at the founders of Stone Age and all of the investment and growth they put into me and how I have been building the company for the last 18 years. It is built upon the nurturing that they gave me. And I have built upon their values and strengthened their values within this company, but this is because they invested in me. So that's what you need to do with your team. How are you really instilling those values so that they transcend beyond you? And that's why you have to put people first. The second thing is environmental stewardship. This is the one planet that we're living on, and we have to take care of it. So are you aligning your operations with sustainable practices that protect and restore the planet? And then number 3, creating a circular value, right? How are you developing products, services, processes that generate ongoing benefits for all of your stakeholders, not just your shareholders? And for me, my stakeholders are my shareholders, right? Being an employee and company, but we really think about that. In my industry, we do have this very circular value creation model where we have OEMs and facility owners and contractors who have to really work together, partner together to create values. This idea of circular value creation is really, really important. It has to be between the stakeholders in your industry and how your customers and your employees and those experiences are really intertwined. So that's what regenerative leadership is all about. And regenerative leaders understand that they are not just building for today, that they're building for the next generation which is going to look very different than what it does today. Number 3, you have to inspire others to carry the torch. Your legacy is not just what you create, but it's what you inspire others to continue. I love this quote that I heard from a fellow YPOer who said, most leaders think about the impact that they're making on others, which is really important. We need to understand if we're negatively or positively impacting others. But the sign of true leadership, of exponential leadership, is how people experience themselves in your presence. And that is really what inspiring others to carry the torch is all about. How do you inspire others to invest in themselves, to grow, to push themselves? Because leadership is not a solo act. It is not about us, no matter how much we might think it might be, but it really does have a ripple effect, whether we're doing that in a positive way or a negative way. The cultures and the value and the vision that you install in your team will absolutely outlive your tenure, which will shape the future long after you've moved on. So how do you inspire enduring impact? Well, one, you have to lead by example, right? I always talk about role modeling in everything that we do. Are you embodying the values and principles that you want your organization to uphold? The days of do as I say, not as I do leadership are over. At least I hope they are, because people want to be inspired by their leader. And if you want to have enduring impact, you have to inspire people in a positive way. You need to also empower others to lead. Leadership is not about us. It's about how we are helping others grow, how we are building leaders of leaders. So you've got to create pathways for emerging leaders to really step into their roles of influence and responsibility. And you only do that if you empower them, if you give them decision-making authority, if you allow them to have autonomy in their jobs, and if you invest and develop in their growth. And finally, tell the story of your why. People want to connect with you as a leader and they want to understand who you are. So share the deeper purpose behind your actions and your decisions. A compelling narrative about who you are and what you're about and how you're leading the company and where the company is going, right? It binds people to your vision and it motivates them to carry that vision forward. I know this to be so true at Stone Age, right? We have this really big vision of our future. And it's my job to inspire people to aspire to that vision. And they can't do that if I'm not passionate and I don't share my personal passion for why we're doing this and how it's going to change lives and how we're going to build this organization that allows our employees to really benefit in the success of the company because they're all owners. And all of those whys are really, really important. And it helps people connect into what we're doing and feel more motivated to do the hard work of achieving a really big vision. So those are how you inspire enduring impact and really create a legacy for yourself. Number 4, you've got to write your legacy manifesto. I'm such a believer in writing things down, right? Our thoughts become our actions, and our actions is what creates our life. So if you want to have a great legacy that you're leaving behind, you need to crystallize it by writing a manifesto. So I've written down a guiding document that aligns the purpose and the principles of my leadership. It's not just a static statement. It is absolutely evolved over time, and it's a living blueprint for the impact that I want to leave. So how do you write a legacy manifesto? Well, first you define your purpose. Why are you leading? Why do you want to change the world? What do you want to create in the world and why? What is your purpose? Outline your principles. What values guide your decisions? How do you want these values to be? How do they drive what you do? What happens when one of those principles is out of alignment? How do you act? How do you show up? How do you realign? Number 3, you need to envision your impact. Like, what will your legacy look like in 10, 50, or 100 years? Consider the people, the community, and the systems that you will influence. Write that out, because visioning is how we create the life that we want for ourselves. When you write it down, don't just write down what you think it's going to look like. Write down what it feels like and what other people are going to feel like. When we actually embody the feelings of the emotions of what we want that legacy to look like, we are much more likely to actually make it happen. And then number 4, translate your vision into specific measurable goals. So that can be done personally, and that needs to be done with your company. So for example, Stone Age's vision is by 2040 to have working industrial cleaning robotics in every heavy manufacturing industrial facility worldwide. That is really clear and measurable. It's a big goal, but we can measure it. So it is actionable. And then we say, here's how we're going to do it, right? We're going to reverse engineer it. You can also do this with your personal legacy too. And then it allows you to have a roadmap for how you're going to move forward. And then share your manifesto with your team. Invite their input. This collaboration strengthens the collective ownership of your vision, which is what you need within your company. And then finally, number 5, you have to have a legacy that transcends profit. Like I said at the beginning, at the heart, legacy is not about fame or fortune, right? It's about contribution. It's a realization that your actions can shape futures, touch lives, and leave the world better than how you found it. And that should be the mission of every single one of us human beings. And if that was, I will tell you the world will be a better place. So you have the ability to leave your world better by having a clear legacy that helps your team create products and services that improve the lives of your customers and your communities that you serve. So as we close this series, I really encourage you to reflect on the question of, what do I want my leadership to stand for? And how can I make this vision real? What do I need to do today, tomorrow, and in 10 years to bring this to fruition? How do I create a legacy that transcends profit and growth? The leaders who commit to this level of intentionality won't just succeed in 2025, they'll become the architects of a brighter future for all of us. And that is so incredibly powerful. It's what all leaders should aspire to, in my humble opinion. All right, that wraps up the Leaders Playbook for a Radically Evolved Future. And I hope that you really enjoyed it. The world needs bold, compassionate, and visionary leaders right now more than ever. And that leader can really be you. And I wish you nothing more than to feel inspired and equipped to step into 2025 with confidence in this radically evolved future that we are embarking on. We can do hard things. We can do this work. 2025 is going to be bumpy. There's no doubt, just like 2024 was bumpy. And if you lean into the discomfort with a visionary mindset, with the desire to increase human connections and the intention to leave a lasting legacy behind, you will make 2025 fantastic. All right, with that, I will leave you to your day and to the rest of this year. If you're listening to this in 2025 already, welcome. I hope that it's off to a great start. And thank you so much for sharing such a unbelievably successful 2024 with me. I appreciate all of your support. We've grown our podcast audience like just exponentially. And so I really appreciate everybody's support on this podcast. So if you like it, please share it with a friend, write a review, subscribe to it on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. And I look forward to 2025 with you. Take care, and we'll see you next week.